Hello YouTube, I'm Nive from Finale Guitar in Sheffield. The shop is now open again Monday to Friday 1 till 5, so pop in for guitars, ukuleles, repairs, lessons and accessories. You're watching Folk Friend, your one-stop shop for Celtic backing guitar tutorials, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about a really popular tuning called Drop D. So to go into Drop D tuning, what you're going to want to do is take your standard tuned guitar and just drop the bottom string down one tone so that it's an octave below the D string, like that, and all the others stay exactly the same. This is a really popular tuning. It's been used by people like Edey, John Doyle, Brady, Arty McGlynn, loads of others, very popular. And the reason why it's so popular is because most Celtic tunes are written in either D major, G major, or one of the other modes that are related to those two. And for any of those, the really nice low D note is really handy and makes your chords sound bigger and more boomy. And the other reason that I think it's so popular is because unlike DADGAD, where you have to learn a complete set of new shapes, compared to standard you don't really have to learn much new stuff in order to get your head around Drop D, because only one string has changed. So let's just have a look at how the chord shapes differ. The first rule is that any chord shape whose root note is on the A string when you're playing in standard tuning is going to be exactly the same in Drop D. So if you wanted something like a C major chord, for example, where you would normally miss off the bottom string, the chord is going to be exactly the same in Drop D and you still miss off the bottom string. Again, with A major, you would miss off the bottom string normally, you still play it exactly the same. So for any chord where you normally miss the bottom string, the shape is the same in Drop D. The only exception to that rule is the D chord. If you're playing a D major, a D minor, any type of D chord, you can now play all the strings, because obviously the bottom string being D, it's going to sound really nice in a D chord. For chords whose root note is normally on the bottom string, you have to learn some new shapes, I'm afraid, but the good news is that there's only really one shape and one modification of that shape that you need, and then you can just slide it about to get all the shapes. So I'm going to now magically make a little diagram of all the root notes appear. Ready? So there's all the root notes, and once you can memorise those, you can work out any chord really quickly and easily in Drop D tuning, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's take an example. Let's say we wanted to make a G major chord. What we would do, we look at our little list of root notes and we find where the G root note is, and it's there on the 5th fret of the bottom string. There it is. So I'm going to put my 3rd finger on that, and then I'm going to put my index finger 1 fret below it on the G string. And the index finger in this chord shape is going to control whether the chord is major or minor. So if I put the index finger 1 fret below wherever my ring finger is, that gives me a major chord, and if I moved it back 1 fret, it would give me a minor chord. So for a G major, it's going to be ring finger on the 5th fret and index on the 4th, and now I can play all the strings, but I just let my ring finger very gently rest against the A string so that it mutes it, because I don't want that in the chord, like that. So that's going to be a nice G chord. With this slidable shape, the chords have got some extra notes in, but the extra notes will sound fine, so just don't worry about what they are, leave them in, all sounds good, all gravy. So that is a G major shape. Let's say that I wanted an A minor shape. I could do the same thing. I'd find my A note on the bottom string, and it's there on the 7th fret, and then I'd move my index finger so that it's 2 frets below the fret that my root note is on, and that would give me a minor chord shape. So if I play all the strings like that, with my index on the 5th, that's a kind of A minor plus extra notes. And that's going to be perfectly usable as an A minor chord for folk backing. So by just sliding this shape about and moving your index finger around, you can get all the shapes that you could possibly want to fit with a tune in any key. Let's have a look at how you work out which chords go in a key. I'm going to use a tool here as well called the Amazing Mode Wheel, and what this does is it tells you all the notes that are in a tune in any key, and it also tells you all the chords that fit with a tune in any key. So I'm going to turn it so that we're talking about a tune in D major, D Ionian in other words. There you go. And that gives me a list of all the chords that would be able to fit with that tune. So I'm going to show you very quickly how we would go about working out all those chords in drop D, and then you can take this and you can apply it to any key that you want to play in. So with D major, the first chord it says on my mode wheel is D major. Dun dun dun. So the first chord shape I'm going to play is obviously D major, and now I can play all the strings like so. For an E minor chord, there's a special shape for E minor in drop D. It's very easy. Get your rock and roll fingers, put them on the bottom two strings on the second fret. And from there on in, I'm just going to use my slidable shape. So the next chord that the mode wheel says I need is F sharp minor. And I'm going to do that by finding my F sharp root note on the bottom string, which is on the 4th fret, and then I put my index finger on the G string 2 frets below my root note, and that'll give me a minor chord, so that's F sharp minor. The next one is G major, so I just slide that up one, put the index finger in the major position. And then the next chord is A, so I can play A with a standard A shape because the root is on the A string. Or I could play it with my slidey shape on the 7th fret if I wanted to, like that. The next one is B minor, so I can either play it with a standard B minor shape, or I could play it with my slidey shape on the 9th fret, my index finger in the minor position. And then the very last chord in the key would be a C sharp diminished. We don't like diminished chords in folk music because they sound horrible, so people tend to use substitutes, and the substitute I'm going to use is either this very easy shape, which is just one finger on the 2nd fret of the G string and your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the A string, like that. So that's a nice substitute for the C sharp diminished chord. Or you can play the slidey shape all the way up here on the 11th fret and put it in the minor position for the index finger. And then you're back to D again. So that is all of the 7 chords that you can use in the key of D. D major, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A major, B minor, a substitute for C sharp diminished, and then you're back to D again. You can take that knowledge and you can use the slidey shape and normal chord shapes whose roots are on the A string to work out all the chords in any key really easily in drop D tuning. So I hope you're going to be able to go away now and work out some chord shapes that you like to back Celtic tunes with. Let us know in the box down below how you're getting on with this. I'd really like to hear your comments. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the little green thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. I release a free Celtic guitar tutorial every weekend, and I also do the Folky Fridays live stream on Friday nights, which is a free lesson where you can tune in live on the comments and ask me any questions that you've got. Like the Facebook page as well, you'll get news of all the upcoming events, and if you're in the Sheffield area, pop into the shop and say hello, Monday to Friday 1 till 5. So thanks very much for tuning in. I'll see you all very soon for more tutorials.